dreams. We all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage tonight. A man who's been digging up laughter in the world of anthropology and archaeology. Please give a warm round of applause for Rusty. Now, folks, Rusty has been teaching anthropology and archaeology for quite some time. But rumor has it that his students are still trying to uncover his sense of humor. So, without further ado, let's see if he can unearth some laughs for us tonight. While working as an anthropology and archaeology teacher, this is what my manager said about my work. Rusty, they say you're teaching anthropology, but it seems your students have evolved into professional nappers. Just when I thought I'd heard it all, my manager said this about my work. Your archaeology class is so quiet, it's like the students are trying to keep the past a secret. Another day I went to work and my manager said, I heard your last lecture was a real bonehead move. My employer's feedback was quite the surprise when he said, I'm not saying your teaching is ancient, but your students are convinced they're studying history. Last week, my controller threw this curved ball. Your classroom is so dry, they've started excavating it for fossils. I've heard some things in my time, but what my superior said about my work was truly memorable. Your students are like buried treasures, you'll never find them unless you start digging. Guess what my manager said during our meeting? They say those who can't do, teach. So, what's your excuse? It's like my superintendent woke up and decided to roast my work with this comment. Even Indiana Jones would switch careers if he had to attend one of your lectures. While working some extra hours, my team said this. Your teaching is like a prehistoric artifact, outdated and gathering dust. Here's a good one. My head of department's take on my work was, I heard your last field trip turned into a treasure hunt for your missing enthusiasm. My team's feedback on my work was quite the surprise. Your archaeology class is so lifeless, it makes mummies look lively. So, my team leader came up with this zinger about my work. Are your lectures a secret government experiment to test patience levels? One day, this is what my supervisor said about my work. Your teaching style is like a fossil, it belongs in a museum. Guess what my team said about my work during one of our meetings? Your students want to go on a dig, but it's your lectures they're trying to bury. You won't believe what my team said about my work recently. Your anthropology class is so boring, even the skeletons are yawning. So, on a Friday, my team came up with this gem about my work. Your students are considering joining witness protection just to escape your class. Let me share what my team had to say about my work just yesterday. If your lectures were any more lifeless, you'd need an excavation team to find the humor. I've heard some things in my time, but what my superior said about my work was truly memorable. Your teaching is like trying to decipher ancient hieroglyphics, nobody understands it. It's like my superintendent woke up and decided to roast my work with this comment. Your students are thinking of using your class as an archaeological site for finding lost motivation. Another day I went to work and my manager said, even a fossilized dinosaur would find your lessons a snooze fest. Here's a good one. My team's take on my work was, your anthropology class is so dull, even the Neanderthals are asking for extra recess. Guess what my team said about my work during one of our meetings? Are you teaching archaeology or boreology? Ever had your work summed up by your chief in a single sentence? Mine did. And it was, your students think they're in a time machine, but it's just your lectures dragging on. Picture this. My team's comment on my work went something like this. Your lectures are like ancient ruins, nobody knows why they're still around. Let me share what my director said about my work on Tuesday. Your archaeology class is so quiet, it's become a prime spot for meditation. The other day, my boss had this to say about my work. Even the mummies in your class are trying to wrap their heads around your teaching methods. Just when I thought I'd heard it all, my manager said this about my work. Your teaching is so dry, it makes the Sahara Desert look like a water park. Last week, my controller threw this curved ball. I've heard of fossilized remains, but your jokes are older than the fossils you study. One of my colleagues dropped this gem on Monday. Your students have started an underground rebellion against your lectures, literally. Just this Wednesday, my colleagues said this about me. Your anthropology class is so slow, it's like watching evolution in reverse. We went for a team building and my team leader dropped this gem. Your lectures are like a never-ending excavation, always digging but never finding anything interesting. So, my team leader came up with this singer about my work. I asked your students what they've learned, and they said, how to nap with eyes open. In the realm of unbelievable feedback, my administrator said this about my work. Your teaching is like trying to decipher an ancient script, cryptic and confusing. You won't believe what my team said about my work recently. Even the rocks in your classroom are begging for a more stimulating environment. I had to hold back laughter when my team commented on my work like this. Your students are so disinterested, they've started their own Avoid Rusty's class club. Guess what my manager said during our meeting? Your lectures are like fossils, we keep finding them, but we're not sure why. So, there I was on a coffee break when one of my colleagues said to me, your archaeology class is so uninspiring, it's a case study in how to fossilize enthusiasm. My boss's perspective on my work took an unexpected turn when he said, your students are hoping to uncover the lost art of engaging teaching but not in your class. I had to hold back laughter when my administrator commented like this. I've seen more excitement at a sloth race than in your anthropology class. My employer's feedback was quite the surprise when he said, your lectures are like a journey through time. Unfortunately, it feels like a one-way trip to boredom. You won't believe the hilarious thing my manager said. Your anthropology class is so tedious, it's become a case study in time dilation. You'll get a kick out of what my manager said. Your students think they're attending a history lecture, but it's just a reenactment of the Ice Age. My team's feedback on my work was quite the surprise. Are your lectures a secret plan to discover the most effective sleep-inducing technique? Here's a good one. My head of department's take on my work was, your teaching is like digging for treasure in a sandbox, fruitless and full of disappointment. So, my manager dropped this gem about my work recently. Even the fossils in your class are complaining about the lack of excitement. Picture this. My executive's comment on my work went something like this. Your lectures are like trying to decipher ancient hieroglyphs, except no one's interested in the translation. While working some extra hours, my team said this. Your archaeology class is so uninspiring, it's like watching paint dry on a dinosaur bone. So, on a Friday, my team came up with this gem about my work. Your teaching is like trying to unearth a dinosaur with a teaspoon, slow and ineffective. One day, this is what my supervisor said about my work. Your students are setting up Save Our Brains fundraisers to escape your class. Just when I thought I'd heard it all, my team said this about my work. Your lectures are like a never-ending archaeological dig. We keep hoping for something valuable to surface. I couldn't believe it when my executive remarked this. I asked your students what they've learned, and they replied, how to master the art of staring blankly. One day, this is what my supervisor said about my work. Your teaching is like studying ancient pottery, fragile and prone to breaking. I couldn't believe it when my executive remarked this. Even the potted plants in your classroom are wilting from boredom. I had to hold back laughter when my team commented on my work like this. Your students are planning to petition for emergency excavation just to escape your lectures. I've heard some things in my time, but what my superior said about my work was truly memorable. Your lectures are like a journey into the past, but unfortunately, it's a past filled with yawns. Guess what my manager said during our meeting? Your archaeology class is so uneventful, it's the perfect remedy for insomnia. Picture this. My team's comment on my work went something like this. Your students are hoping to unearth the lost concept of enthusiasm in your class. You'll get a kick out of what my manager said. I've seen more excitement in a snail race than in your anthropology class. So, my team leader came up with this singer about my work. Your teaching is like trying to decipher a forgotten language, cryptic and irrelevant. Guess what my team said about my work during one of our meetings? Your lectures are like a never-ending quest for knowledge, but it feels more like a quest for nap time. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had a blast tonight. And that Rusty's lessons in anthropology and archaeology have left you with some ancient wisdom and a few laughs. Remember, if you ever find yourself in a class with Rusty, Just think of it as an archaeological expedition into the depths of boredom. And as a parting gift, here's a joke for Rusty. Rusty, if laughter is the best medicine, your students must be the healthiest archaeologists in the world. Thank you for being here and have a good day. See you on the next one.
And we all got dreams, we all want things. But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything?
Hey, I may be the worst at my job, but at least I'm entertaining. Leave a comment down below and let me know what your manager is saying about your work. And if you didn't enjoy this show, well, I promise I'll try even harder to disappoint you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay employed and keep smiling.